Tiberium is the reason why the story exists, right? It came on to Earth in a mysterious fashion, and C&C3 kind of reveals finally what Tiberium is all about, where it came from, what it can be used for other than just a resource. I don't want to give anything away, but obviously the major focus of C&C3 is all about Tiberium. The biggest challenge for us was how do you move the genre forward while still retaining a classic C&C feel. You'll notice that the sidebar interface has returned. That's one of the first things that people ask for. They love the sidebar interface. They loved what it means. It lets you build and queue up units while you're on the battlefield. You don't have to be near your base or hovering over your base. You can be focusing on the action while still queuing up units and managing your army. We have an AI that kind of adapts to your style of play as well. If you're a rusher, if you like to attack your enemy quickly, the AI will adapt to that. Whereas if you're kind of a more beginner type player, you like to turtle, kind of play slow and methodically, the AI will recognize that and adapt its style of play to you as well. Obviously, one of the very first questions on our mind, on the team's mind, when we first decided to work on a new C&C game was, were we going to do live action cutscenes? And we thought to be a true C&C game, you absolutely had to. Joe Coogan has reprised his role as Kane. We're very excited to have him back on board.
You can't kill the Messiah.
We also have two actual news anchors. CNN's Shannon Cook and Fox News' John Huck will be playing as actual news anchors on the field, covering the war as it unfolds in C&C3. When you sit down and get your hands on this game, you'll see that units respond to you right away. We kind of tore out the plumbing of our engine. Because ultimately, an RTS at its core is all about unit interaction. How fast do the units do what you tell them to do? Every one of our three factions has, a slate of new units. I mentioned the Avatar mech that Nod has. It's one of my favorites. It's actually a walking mech that grabs anything nearby. So if there's a Nod flame tank nearby, it'll grab it, tear off the flame tank, put that piece of weaponry on its arm, and now it becomes like a flame shooting mech. If there's a missile launcher nearby, it'll tear that off, put it on its arm. Now it's like a rocket firing mech. So it adapts to the terrain and grabs whatever's nearby. It's a very neat unit. But they also have some new weapons like the Predator tank, the Pitbull, which is like a Humvee. I think they have close to 15-20 units in all. And I think the mix between old and new is about 40 old, classic, 60% brand new. We have a very exciting new component of C&C3 that we're calling as a whole RTS as a sport. We'd all used to gather like in this room and in other meeting rooms and watch our team members play each other in the tournaments and in the finals. And they got to be so exciting to watch that we said, we asked ourselves, why don't we kind of imbue this functionality as a feature into C&C3? We're adding things like voice over IP support. We really want to give the power in commentators' hands, so not only will they be able to commentate on actual matches that are going on, but they can telestrate them as well. So kind of like a John Madden kind of throw in. You can circle units that are getting ready to attack and point in the direction that they're going to. The great cast that we have, the great single-player campaign. It's going to be a huge single-player campaign. Upwards of 35 missions, 3 different campaigns. We have a new way of telling stories with not only just the full-motion cutscenes, but we have a theater of war concept where you get to choose your own missions sometimes, where they branch out, and depending on those choices you make, they have actual consequences in the next missions. RTS is a sport. It's all the features that we have kind of put together. And of course, C&C, the fact that it's back after 7 long years, we think that's our biggest talking point.